Hey guys, Caleb Bakes01 here, and welcome to another random horror review. Hopefully, you guys are liking the start of this series. I'm really enjoying doing it. Yeah, it's taking a bit of work, and I know I've only just started. It's nothing original, even the name's not original, but I am having fun doing it, and hopefully, you guys are enjoying watching it so far. And today's movie I've been really excited to do a review on, and that is the 1990s film Anaconda. Um, Me and this movie have a very tight history together. This is probably in my top three most watched movies of all time. But if you want to break it down into just the horror genre, it probably is my most watched movie of all time. That's because I grew up constantly watching this movie all the time. That's because obviously I'm a fan of horror, but I'm also a big fan of animals. So put the two together, you've got tons of killer shark movies, killer crocodiles. But I had this soft spot for Anaconda. Always rented it when I was younger from like the DVD store or wherever. And this is a new edition of it. I used to just have the first and second Anaconda movies separately on my shelf, but this is new. You'll see it in an update. I'll talk about it a bit later, but it's got all the movies on it, all five of them. But as I said, I'll get into that later. But let's get past the history of me and this movie, and let's get into the plot. So basically, the plot is this film crew. They're gonna shoot a documentary on this tribe living off in the Amazon, and not long into their journey, it basically gets hijacked by this villainous character played by Jon Voight, who I love in this movie, by the way. And from there, as I said, he basically hijacks the trip, takes them hostage to catch this giant anaconda. Alright, so let's get into my thoughts on this movie. Alright, first up, a lot of familiar faces in this movie. It is starring J-Lo, Ice Cube, Jon Voight, and also Owen Wilson is in it. I'm not sure how big he was during the time of this movie. Like, I don't even know when this movie's from, the 90s, 97. I'm not sure if he was that big of a name yet. He hasn't got like a starring role in this, but he's in the movie, which I find really interesting. I actually really do like our cast. Even the guy that plays Westridge in this movie, I don't remember the actor's name. And growing up, I didn't like Westridge, obviously. He's very uptight and grumpy all the time. But watching it again last night, he just reminds me of, it sounds so stupid, but he reminds me of Squidward from SpongeBob, because he's like so miserable and grouchy, but he's got this likable quality to him too, which I really liked. I also really like the setting in this movie. I don't know how much of it was actually filmed out in like wilderness, outdoors or whatever, or if it was all done in a studio. But I really like the setting. You got the Amazon River, you got the jungle surrounding it, tons of noises, tons of wildlife. You got waterfalls, buildings. It's the setting, I reckon, is so cool in this movie. Excuse me. And it's just, this movie is so likable and so enjoyable. It's like not even just like the parts with the anaconda. You've got Jon Voight's villain, which I'll get to in a second. The adventure quality of this movie is really enjoyable too, and it really gets going like as soon as the movie starts. You've got a kill in the first like 5 minutes of the movie, and then 2 minutes later the expedition to start filming the documentary, which they intend on doing at the start. It's right underway. You get introduced to your characters, their roles doing this documentary, and I love that. I love how it just gets going, and from there it's mostly enjoyable the whole way through. Now, to Jon Voight. I love Jon Voight in this movie. I'm not sure what the general consensus with his character is, but I find him so enjoyable. There's so many good one-liners from this movie. I'm probably the only one that thinks that way just because I've seen this movie so many times. But there's so many good one-liners and moments of dialogue in this movie, and they all come from him. There's some times where he sort of hams it up maybe and goes a little bit over the top. But that's what makes him such a good villain in this movie. Just like everything he says, it's so engaging, and every scene in this movie, honestly, he steals it. He steals the show. Now, obviously, I said I really like this movie, but it's not without its faults. I've only just sort of come to realize maybe a couple years ago, 3, 4 years ago maybe, that not a lot of people like this movie, and I do understand it. It's a B movie. It's a bit cheesy at times, but it is so much fun. I enjoy it so much. I know a lot of people, I've had a lot of people, say to me, like, how do you like this movie as much as you do? Like, come on, it's like a giant snake causing this film crew havoc. How can you not have fun? But as I was saying, I get that it's cheesy at times. I get that, some things don't hold up. But getting to that, I think the Anaconda, with its practical effects, looks really, really good. There's sometimes where it's funny and you see the strings, you see the cables actually controlling the snake, and I think that just sort of adds to the charm for me at times. But overall, the way it looks practically is really cool. I'm actually a big fan of it. I think it doesn't exactly look like a real life anaconda, but close enough. With the later movies in the franchise, it's sort of veered away, looking more like a dragon. But in this movie, I really like the way it looks. However, the CGI, on the other hand, doesn't always hold up. I can't remember if it's the CGI in the daytime or in the nighttime, but one is way worse than the other, and yeah, that doesn't hold up. But otherwise, the practical effects in this movie, I think, are really, really good. Another thing about this movie, to be honest, it does sort of drag as it goes on. As I said, most of the time you're having fun, but eventually it can get a little bit too much, and as I said, towards the end it does sort of drag, and it does sort of, you're sort of like, okay, wrap it up. But I do really like the ending of this movie, and like the final battle in that like rundown shack thing. I think that's really, really cool. So before we wrap this up, I just want to, as I said, talk about this edition. I'll talk about it again when I do a collection update. But this is a 5-disc collection put out by Via Vision. It's got all 5 movies on it. The first Anaconda, Anaconda's Hunt for the Blood Orchid, Anaconda 3 with David Hasselhoff, 4 Trail of Blood, and Lake Placid vs. Anaconda. First of all, I think this is such a weird franchise to give a set like this. As much as I like the movie and actually really like the second one too, it's almost like a franchise that doesn't deserve a set this nice. But I recommend really picking this up because, as I said, I've seen Anaconda like 100 times. And this is the best I've seen it look. It looks really crisp, and maybe that's why some of the effects, CGI mainly, don't hold up. But yeah, the way this movie looks is really, really good. So if you want to pick up this 5-disc set, I definitely recommend it. I haven't checked out the other 4 movies on there yet. I just wanted to go with a comfort movie that I've seen tons of times, and I wanted to check it out, and yeah, really enjoyed it. So to wrap it up, yeah, I've pretty much summed it all up. Anaconda, I don't think anything will change my thoughts on this movie over time. It's just got that nostalgia and soft spot in my heart. It is a great horror movie. If you're a big fan of animal horror movies, it's got that adventure feel to it that is so much fun. It's just so enjoyable. I get it, it's cheesy, it's a B movie, and I'll happily admit it does drag towards the end. But overall, I just enjoyed this movie pretty much from start to finish, and so I'm going to give this one out of 10. You know what? I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoy Anaconda, and, maybe people that, they do like animal horror movies and might have skipped this one through the 90s. I don't think a lot of people have, but maybe go back and check it out because it's worth a watch. So guys, thank you again for watching this series. As I said, I'm really enjoying doing it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying watching it. Feel free to like or subscribe. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys again in my next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay safe out there.